Okay. So, hold on a second. So thank you very much again. My name is Victor Mejia. I'm here representing Nextivity as a product manager. And I want to thank CPRA for allowing us to connect with local public safety professionals. And also I want to thank you, all of you, for the terrific job that you are doing amid this pandemic and the wildfire and all the craziness around us this time. And all the great job you're doing protecting our communities. So today we are here to talk about a solution we have for some of the issues that affect first responders communication, and I'm sure you will find this interesting. Our company has invested millions of dollars in R&D and human resources to come out with a solution that will help everybody involved in the public safety ecosystem, from building owners to system integrators and HJs. Our goal today is also to establish a communication channel between us and you and us, to create a collaboration dialogue to improve the overall process of deploying radio communication networks. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about our company and what we do. Then I will introduce our public safety radio communication system with a special emphasis on those features that we believe are going to make your job easier. And rather than me only speaking, I encourage you to participate with questions or comments at any time. And I will be happy to address and answer those questions. So Nextivity is a South California-based company with headquarters in San Diego. As you can see here on this slide, we have offices in Europe, Asia, and Australia. Our value proposition is founded in developing highly technological advanced products that are unconditionally network safe. And around 200 mobile operators, network operators in 100 countries had evaluated Cel-Fi technology. And you know, some of them are really, really difficult guys to convince that you have technology that is effective, that is safe, and it's also cost effective. And in many countries today, the Cel-Fi technology and the Cel-Fi brand is really the only trust technology that is allowed by the operators and in some cases by the regulators in countries to be able to solve the building coverage issues in a different and unique way. And I think this is what we're trying to bring to the public safety segment as well. So our R&D is done here in San Diego. We have a large engineering team based here that covers all the different disciplines, including microprocessor design and antenna design, software design as well. Which is one of the things that you don't normally find, you know, in an OEM in this segment, and that capability is really what set us apart. We are able to bring technology to the table at a price point that is difficult for others to meet. So I think the whole company here was very excited a couple of years ago when we look at the public safety market, and we thought that you know, it's time for us to turn our attention to this space and to bring some of the advances in technology and the learning that we have had over the last 10 years in the cellular market, and to bring that experience to the public safety segment. So we knew we have a technology base that was really, I think, unrivaled in the industry, and that we could transform the expectations that customers have of what a public safety product should look like, and what the experience with the product should be. and what it should be able to offer, and etc. And I think that's what we have done with the QUATRA RED product. So the one really important thing for me, and that I hope that you can take away from this session, is not only about the product, it's about the richness that surrounds the product as well. The apps that we have to support the installation, our cloud-based portal that allows you to see a good level of insight into the network, and to know that there will be no interference issues that you need to come back to address. And I think we're able to do that today, because we really built a level of trust in the technology, not just in the US, but across the world. And we spend a lot of time listening to customers, talking to HJs, talking to integrators, etc., trying to make sure that we fully understand every last nuance of that is required when you go and install a public safety system. And I think we capture, you know, most of that in the definition of the QUATRA RED product. And as I said, not just only in the product itself, but in the ecosystem that surrounds it. So we are very excited about bringing this product to the market, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope there is a lot of questions, and look forward to being able to being an integral part of the public safety community moving forward. So the product we are launching is the QUATRA RED product, and it is a concurrent FirstNet, cellular, and public safety radio and building coverage solution. So it's your fully emergency responder radio communication solution. It supports 3G, 4G, LTE, P25, and analog signals. So it's both LMR and LTE in a single system. You can provide both with this single product. And one of the things that makes Cel-Fi extremely unique in this marketplace is the architecture. If you're familiar with DAS systems, then you understand that you have a head-end and a remote, and that the signal is distributed from your head-end into your remote unit over some sort of media. For us, that is Ethernet. So that's category 5 cable or better is how we distribute power and RF signal throughout your system. So it's extremely convenient to have a lossless distribution from your head-end into your remote unit. So you are not losing power, you're not losing, you're not having to run coax for that link. It's a much easier system to design and easier system to install as well. So we are talking about major cost savings in terms of installations, and that will be a good advantage for building owners. And so a lot of those advantages here that we are bringing forward with this form of distribution. And as I mentioned, this support both FirstNet and LMR. So in the FirstNet side, we support actually 4 LTE bands, and FirstNet services delivered over not just band 14, but it's delivered across all AT&T bands. So if you happen to be in a location where band 14 is not available, most likely you will have another AT&T band on site. So whether you are covered with band 14 or one of the other AT&T bands, we can pick that up with our system and then distribute that throughout your throughout the whole building. We also, of course, support LMR. Our first release of this product is going to support 700 and 800 megahertz. You can see we have features like automatic and downlink gain setting. I will talk a little bit about that later. One of the things about Cel-Fi is we do a lot of things sort of automatically behind the scenes, things that typically will require a lot of RF engineering calculation. So things like calculating free space loss or calculating cable loss and or cable loss over certain cable types and certain distances and frequencies. So we do all that automatically with our system. And the reason we can do that is our coverage units and network units, they are communicate with each other intelligently. So we understand that all the elements of the systems are doing, and that's all constantly monitored and managed by the system itself. So we can make sure that you have automatic gain setting to meet the requirements and meet the performance requirements as well. And we also believe we have the best talk in and talk out performance. We have a legacy history here of working with LTE, which has incredibly fast auto gain control requirements and the slot to slot gain control requirements as well. And these are all things that we've been doing for 10 years, and we are very good at that. So when you're doing your things like DAQ testing, you will find that Cel-Fi QUATRA RED is going to be the best performing system that you have tested. You have awesome voice quality, and when you got users that are trying to communicate on adjacent time slots, so you will have the same quality and the same good experience. So I will get into more details about these features and later in the presentations. And of course, it wouldn't be a proper system if it wasn't NEMA 4 rated. And then of course, this is UL 2524 compliant. We have designed it around, of course, IFC 510 and NFPA 1221. We have essentially ingest all the requirements in all the jurisdiction nationally and build a product able to deliver a certificate of occupancy regardless of the jurisdiction you're in. So I want to talk a little bit in more details about the parts and pieces of the system. One of the things we're doing here is this is one-stop shopping. So we are delivering everything that you see in this presentation to the market. Our partners or master distributors and resellers will be able to support all of this as sort of a one-stop shopping. So I'm going to get into the pieces and parts here a little bit. And the first component here is what we call the network unit, or the NU for short. If you're familiar with DAS, you will call this the head end. And this unit connects to your source signal. So you'll notice on the top here, you got those two black lines. We have independent donor cables or independent donor sources for LMR and for FirstNet. So why would we do that? Well, if you think about it, your cell tower and your high side for public safety radio are not going to be in the same spot. So if you got a directional antenna that you're trying to optimize as your source for your system, you can only point it in one direction. But what we do is we have independent donors for LMR and FirstNet. So you can aim your antennas independently. The other important point to mention here is that all of the power to the QUATRA RED system is located centrally at the MBBU. I will talk more about the battery backup unit. So it comes through the battery backup unit, to the network unit, and then out to all of the remote units that we call coverage units. And that's important because having a single source of power means you only have to have one battery backup. That's extremely convenient. A lot of you out there, if you're dealing with system like this one, you like active DAS or fiber DAS system, you got to have power whether your remote is, and for us, power is centralized. So we think that's a big advantage. The next piece here is the coverage unit, or the CU. In DAS terms, you will call this the remote unit. And this is where the source signal is distributed. You notice here in this view that there is a single RF output on the top, and that's an N-type connector, and that's where the RF signal is output. And it can be LMR or FirstNet or combined. And this is where we go from digital back to analog, and it's the component that amplifies the signal and distribute all of your passives to all the antennas. The CUSA mentioned before is power over Ethernet, so you literally plug in RJ45 cable into the bottom, and you have power up your system. You don't have to figure out how you're going to get power to this, which gives you some nice advantages in many jurisdictions. Okay, so the third part here to talk about is what we call the MBBU, or Monitoring and Battery Backup Unit. And this is more than just battery backup in our context. This is also your communication hubs, so it manages our internet communication and your fire alarm control unit communication as well. So this unit has an annunciator panel built in, and your dry contact alarms that will connect to your main fire alarm panel. It also connects back to the internet. So if you're monitoring this system, that's done through our web portal. And this is what powers the entire system too. So whether you got a 1 watt or a 6 watt system, this is where the power is generated. And we actually have 3 sizes of this box that we have designed to be able to cover the entire gamut from 1 watt for 12 hours to 6 watt or even larger for 24 hours. The batteries are not included, but we have partnership with battery companies that we have designed around, and go through normal buying channels that information will be available if necessary. And then the next item here is what we call the remote annunciator. And so some jurisdiction, some of you will have the fire alarm control unit inside your fire room. And so you will literally just wire up your MBBU directly to the fire alarm control unit. But in some cases, the main fire alarm panel is somewhere else in the building, maybe in the lobby, maybe, I don't know, in the IDF closet. It might be somewhere else. So what we have developed here is a remote annunciator, which allows you to set this right next to the fire alarm panel. So whatever that fire alarm panel is, and then this also has a dry contact outputs that you can go and connect this to your main fire alarm panel. So you just plug in the remote annunciator, and that's it. And our goal in life is to make the installation, the provisioning and commissioning of all of this stuff to be as simple as possible and user friendly as possible, because we want to be able to do installation faster to get those buildings up and running faster, so we can always scale together, and that's the idea. And next item here is what we call the emergency power off switch, and sort of the same philosophy as the remote annunciator. Some of you wants to have an EPO, an emergency power off switch on your system, but some of you want the EPO switch to be somewhere else, not necessarily in the fire room. So if you're addressing a jurisdiction that has this kind of requirement, and they want the EPO, you want the EPO to be sitting in the lobby rather than in a closet somewhere. you can put this piece anywhere. Then you can also remote out the EPO, and again, it's the same philosophy. Connect to an Ethernet cable back to the battery backup unit, and you have a remote emergency power out switch ready to be used. Any questions you may have at this point?
I have one for the power over Ethernet. Where is that? How is that being done by the monitor device?
Yeah, everything connects to the MBBU via
Okay.
category cable, yes. And the battery backup unit, as I mentioned, only acts as the power source, but also connects all the components and establish the communication among them.
Okay. And for licensing, is this all included with the LTE and LMR, or is that license based to activate the
It is
features?
included. You can
Everything?
use,
Okay.
yes, you have access to the cellular and LMR portion of the product out of the box. So there is no need for extra licensing or stuff like that.
Okay.
This is Jim Donovan with Orange County. I have a question. Do you have specs on the latency between the donor antenna signals and the server antennas as far as time delay?
Yes, we do. And actually, we have discussed that with Bruce Kopp.
Oh, yeah, he works with me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bruce is aware of that as well. I will send you a copy of the specs so you can see the.
That's all right. I can get them from Bruce.
Okay. Perfect.
I manage the infrastructure, and so if we have P25 simulcast has a limited amount of time that if they have your
Yes.
server antennas actually are overlapping with the site external signal, the time delay could cause us problems. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, exactly. And it's a perfect timing for that question because we have a solution for that issue.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll listen on then. Thank you.
No problem. And well, these are just some of the concepts that we have delivering and that you won't see from other radio manufacturer out there. And one thing we can do is we can automatically set uplink and transmit power. So if you've done this before, you know this can be a sensitive issue where you're trying to set up your VDA system or your DAS system so that you're hitting your high side with uplink power at a specific value set. Probably most common value is -95 dBm or it can be any other value. And what we can do with our system is extremely sophisticated, but what we have done is make it very simple. Where you can indicate where your high side is, just providing the coordinates for the high side and providing the coordinates for where the ERC system is, and literally with one touch of a button and you're going to set your uplink power at your desired level. So it's kind of like a magic, but it really simplifies the process of installation. And I know there is probably many of you out there that have 30 years of doing this and who are extremely skeptical about our ability to do this. And I look forward to working with you and our teams and making believers out of you. But the idea is to leave the equipment and the intelligence built into the equipment to do all the calculation and all the operations. Then another one thing is the automatic isolation. Is what we were talking about before. So this can be another one that is a little bit complicated. A lot of jurisdiction want to see 20 dB isolation between the donor and the serving antenna. That can be sort of tricky to set up. and you know, you're passive and measure everything to make sure that you are within those tolerances. And what we can do is we can set all of these isolation settings automatically. Again, all of our equipment, all of our components talk to each other, and we can measure things like isolation, power values, and where other system can do it. So we can do things like literally push of a button and set isolation values to be within your requirements. The near far effect is something that is obviously a bit of a problem in some systems, and we think QUATRA RED will be the best system against the near far effect. We have a legacy of doing this over commercial LTE networks, which have really aggressive delay requirements, which we were able to meet. So we are shipping our LTE products all over the world, and in its similar context with this, where you have radios keying up at the same time, but they have different gain requirements because they are different distances from the serving antennas. And we have super fast gain control and filtering where we can make sure that those radios can key up. And then we have the talk out guarantee. We have some techniques that we are implementing that will allow you to, will allow the installer, but also allow you to do a more seamless, more easy to test system. So do some sort of walk testing and do your talk out measurements without having to purchase or rent an actual LMR radio, or do the coordination with you guys in terms of your frequencies that we can use, or to use a regular walkie-talkie, and then the measure, we can measure the talk out and talking system with a regular walkie-talkie. And we can guarantee that whatever frequencies you're actually deploying, when you bring up your test equipment, or when you're going into the building to test, to do the grid test and validate the install, you're going to be within the tolerances that you have specified, and you'll be able to verify, well, the installers will be able to verify that in advance. So these are some of the innovations that we're bringing to this space. With traditional BDAs, you must wait for the results of the grid test to figure out if your system met or not the criteria. If your system fails, you have to fix those coverage issues and then reschedule another test. And there are, in some cases, additional fees associated with this, and basically you will be wasting valuable time and resources in general. So this feature will give the installers the confidence that the system will pass the very first time that you're performing the grid test or the DAQ test. Just briefly, because I'm running out of time, I'm going to mention that we have solutions in the form of BDA configuration. So the QUATRA RED system is scalable, so it grows as needed. And we have this that you're seeing here is a BDA configuration with 1 or 2 watts units. We do also have a DAS configuration that can be deployed with 4 watts, 3 watt units as well. You can see here. And if you want a public safety solution working together with commercial cellular, that is also possible. So we can have a QUATRA RED system working with a regular QUATRA LTE commercial cellular unit, working together. There is no need for extra filtering or extra notch filters and stuff like that. So these, again, all the units are intelligent and communicate back to back in some sort of adjust RF signal levels to keep the system and the signal reliable and strong. Also, as part of our public safety proposition, we right here we have the QUATRA RED product that we are announcing right now. Already available, we have the Cel-Fi QUATRA RED that provides FirstNet cellular coverage. And we have portable kits as well that you can carry in your trunk and deploy in those scenarios when you are seeing the lack of a good signal quality, and you can just install a temporary air system in minutes. I will say with some practice, you will have this done in 5 minutes. I also want to mention that we are part of the Safer Building Coalition, and if you know about it, and if you don't, go check it out. This is a great industry association, and they are driving awareness about all of these issues, and they are driving code compliance and ultimately saving lives. So we are supportive of that, and what we think they are doing is a great job there. So encourage you to have a look at them and the resources they offer. And I think that's pretty much for me today. I just want to thank you, and if you have any questions or comments later on, please send us a message. There is the contact information. And I think this session it will be recorded and it will be available as well. So if you want to come back and take a look later, you will be able to do that. And David, I'm taking the microphone back.